Hey guys, today is an odd job day. And before I get started, I have to mention that this video is a paid advertisement by the WD-40 company. If you like this channel and you like my videos, then I suggest that you support WD-40 because they support me. Alright, here's what I've got going on right now. I got this new handy dandy little spinner spreader for the back of my four-wheeler. I've never used it. It's incredibly cheap. Seems a little flimsy. Doesn't fit in the hitch very well. But we'll see how it works. I don't have a lot to do. But what I want to do is spread some radishes on some end rows where we're doing some fungicide and micronutrient testing. I'm also going to see if I can sneak down into the woods and plant a little deer plot where my son and I hunt in the fall. And then I'm going to use this old Massey Ferguson cultivator here that we dug out of the woods and got going to try and incorporate those seeds into the soil. So it's an odd job thing, but it's too windy to spray right now. We got about 500 acres of corn sprayed over the last couple of days. Definitely too windy to go out and spray right now, but it is a nice day. So hopefully I'm going to go and get some of this stuff done. Now obviously the job I'm doing here is not super critical, it's not super important. I just want to run this thing about an inch into the ground and till the topsoil to get some of the seeds incorporated in. But these two end ones, when I started yesterday, were right close together when I took this thing for a test drive. And they were kind of bunching up in between them. I was able to take a hammer and knock them apart a little bit, but they're running sideways. What I'd like to do is get this end one, turn this arm out, and space this end one better so that I can have them both running straight. Oh wow! Is this WD-40's original multi-use product with an easy reach flexible straw? How convenient! In order to try and hopefully get these nuts loose without breaking anything and try to get this spun in here, I'm going to be using these WD-40 products to try and break those loose. Alright, I'm going to start by spraying this here and hoping that this will free up a little bit over time. For those who don't know, you can spray with the can, not using the straw with it down, or you can use the bendable stainless straw to get into different places and squirt it through there as well. The next thing I'm going to do is use WD-40 Specialist Rust Release Penetrant Spray to hopefully get down into these old nuts and try and work these threads loose on this U-bolt here so that hopefully after lunch I can come back and loosen those up a bit. Hey Stacy, it's Zach. Turkey deluxe with fries to go, please. Thank you. I did get this turning in here, and I also got this turning inside of here. I'm gonna try and shimmy that around, get this arm here pushed forward to get this shank better in line with where I want it. Look at that. We got it moved. All that's left to do is tighten that up. So I think we're going to be ready to go spread some seeds, then go out and dig them in. Okay, the cultivator's all ready to go. Now it's time to go spread our seed. And what I got here is just 5 pounds of tillage radish. See what it'll do, because radish is pretty hard to get established up here as far as a cover crop after we harvest, because it ends up freezing so quickly and the radish dies off. So I got a chance here to spread some radish early in the year. I'm gonna throw it down and see what it does. So I came to the woods first, to where my son and I do some hunting, and I was hoping to get down to the bottom of these woods with the four-wheeler and test out my spreader before I spread those radishes right next to the highway. But as you can see, I'm walking through the thinnest part here, and these woods are much thicker than I had anticipated already, and it's a fairly steep hill. There's a really nice meadow down in there that I could plant probably 1/8 or 1/4 of an acre down in there, and I'm not going to be getting down there today. This is going to take more work than I thought. So this is going to be a project for a different day. As long as I'm back here next to the woods, I've actually got 4 or 5 tile lines that dump into these woods. There's several acres here. And I drained this back corner of the field down through these woods where it kind of trickles down the hill. I've actually got some sample cups here I'm gonna stick these right in the tile outlet. I'm gonna get some water straight out of the tile outlet, and I'm gonna send it to the lab, the closest lab we have, and do some testing on it to see what is in that tile water that comes right off of this cornfield. It's always convenient walking over 100 yards of rock that's buried by rhubarb to get down to your tile line. I made it. This really surprises me, but this thing is barely flowing. And holy cow, the mosquitoes are gonna kill me. Okay, we're gonna grab a little water right out of here. Let the bugs eat me while I do it. Oh man. Holy cow, I gotta get out of here. Okay, I made it through the rhubarb patch back up into the field. I did get a little bit of a sample here. That should be more than enough. I'll send that into the lab for testing. As you can see, that is not very dirty looking water, but the lab will tell the honest truth about what's actually in this stuff. Outlet number 2 comes out right at the bottom of this fence post, so you can see the steel. It's hard to see the screen, but you can see the steel outlet down here. Clearly, it's dry down in there. There is no water coming out of this one. So that tells me that we probably could use a rain even worse than we think we could. Number 3 is down here. It's a little bit difficult to get to, but I can tell you right now from looking at this, there is nothing coming out of number 3 either. Okay, this tile here, this is what I would call the main of the field. We don't do any pattern tiling, but if we did, I would say this is the main. It's got a lot of tiles that run into it. This is probably as slow as I've ever seen this run, and it's not easy to get to, but I'm gonna reach down in there and grab some water out of there. Okay, there we go. Why don't we go spread those radishes by the highway and test that spreader out. I got the wire that I made up here running back here. When I flip the switch on, you can see the spinner turns on. And to be honest with you, I don't really trust this thing. It's got a little, it's got a lever here that opens the gate down at the bottom. The problem is when you push the lever to close it, the gate doesn't move. And I can't get the cable situated to where it likes to follow and do what I want it to do when I want it to close. So what I'm gonna have to do is just start with it cracked open a little bit and hope that it works out. As I can tell you, it takes 8 to 10 pounds of radishes per acre is kind of what I want down here. This is a half an acre. I got 5 pounds right here. My plan is just to spread that out and try and do as even of a job as I can until this bag is empty. I'm suddenly feeling like this isn't gonna work as well as I had hoped, but here goes nothing. I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but I can tell you that I had 5 pounds of radish seed inside that spreader, and it's gone now, and it's on this fallow dirt right here. So I'm gonna get the digger and work this in. Sorry, the cultivator. Before I take off here, I'm gonna mark a property line in another field. So I've made these large PVC pipes, put some reflective tape on top. I got a couple of T-posts in there that I'm gonna drive into the ground. Then I'm gonna stick those orange reflective flags out the top of them. We got a property line between us and another neighbor that's gotten a little too blurred for my comfort, so I'm just gonna drive those posts in. That way they're in there, they're tight, they're not going anywhere, and everybody can see them. Well, when I walk around out here, it actually looks pretty good. There's definitely radish seeds spread across the ground. They look fairly even, so I'm pretty hopeful that this is gonna turn out. Now let's see if this horse will pull this contraption. This topsoil is definitely really dry, so it would be good to get some of that rain that they've got forecasted for tonight. Hopefully get some of this seed germinated. Get these radishes up and help them to kind of suppress some of these weeds that are coming along the edge here. This tillage is going to help that, but once these radishes get going, that'll really help suppress all these weeds, keep them down, hopefully drive them out of here. This whole thing is just a cheap learning experience for me. That's the reason I'm doing this. So we'll see how it ends up. It's doing a decent job of tilling. You guys hear that horrible squeak? I got just the thing for that. Wow, thanks to WD-40's Easy Reach Flexible Straw, I can now hold this multi-use product label out for you viewers while I lubricate what's behind it. No more squeak. Born on the bayou. Well, as usual, that job seemed to take longer than it should have, but check out this sweet field find. Before I send those water samples off to the lab, I'm gonna fill up one more cylinder. I wanna compare that to what we're getting out of the drain tiles. It looks a little cloudier now just because it's cold. These ones were sitting in the four-wheeler for a while. So I'll fill out my sheet here. I'm just gonna test them all for nitrates and phosphorus. That's gonna be about $60 out of my own pocket. So those are the main things that I wanna test right now. I'm gonna send this in and they should get back to me soon. Well, it's a Friday night and I'm on my way to somewhere very, very important. So I figured I'd take a road trip and check out some of our crops. This field here was our first field that we had planted. This is a 101-day channel hybrid. Take a look and see what we got. Do a little crop scouting. Well, things are looking pretty good here. I would say we're at the 3, 4, 5. This is the 6th leaf here coming out of the whorl. 6th or 7th leaf, depending on if you want to count that one there. So I would say this plant is about at V4 to V5. This is some of the farther along corn in the area just because it got planted sooner. And it's drier soil, so it's a little bit quicker to come up out of the ground. Things are looking pretty good here. Some of the stuff I'm looking for is to make sure that the planter didn't have any skips. I like to see everything singulated pretty well. I like to see even spacing, and we like to see the plants coming up at the same height. We like to see that good even emergence. We don't like to see tall plants and short plants. That causes low yield because the short plants kind of become a weed to the tall plants, so the tall plants can overtake them. What you want to see is a nice level uniform stand and all the plants kind of at the same growth stage at the same time. This field is looking pretty good as far as that goes, so I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing here. As I continue on my way to my extremely important destination, I figured I'd stop and take a look at our first planted soybean field. This again, the reason we planted it first is because this is one of our driest fields. This field is always ready before most of what we have, so we got going on this first. We planted our latest maturity variety on it. This is actually 1.8 channel soybean. It is a new extend bean for this year, so this is dicamba resistant. And looking across, it looks pretty good. Some of these were laying in a little bit of dry dirt, so they are a little bit uneven, but as long as they got that moisture, beans will come out of the ground. As long as they don't lay there for too long, they get a little moisture, they'll take off quickly, and when it comes to the emergence, it's not nearly as critical with soybeans. These two bottom leaves here, that's called the cotyledon. That's actually the seed that comes out of the ground first. Moving on here, you've got your 2 leaves here. I forget what that's called right now, but this is your first trifoliate coming here. You can see over here on this plant, the second trifoliate's actually coming out. So these beans would be in what we would call between V1 and V2 growth stage. These beans are looking pretty good. I'm happy to see them. Okay, enough about farming. It's Friday night right now, and I gotta get to my important meeting.